Hey Budget Gamer fans, today marks a very special day on the Budget Gamer calendar, and as you can probably tell from the unboxing video that's going on over my shoulder, something different is going to happen. Today is actually the day of the posting of our 200th gaming review. I've made like 203, 204 videos, but some of them were like updates. This is our 200th gaming review in only about 18 months, so for me, big momentous occasion. And to celebrate and commemorate this event, First Press Games has actually sent us a full physical edition of their game release, Tobu Girl Deluxe. And though it was actually released as a ROM, which you can still download off their website, because of a very successful Kickstarter campaign, they were able to release it as a full GameBoy Color cartridge, with instruction manual, a little sticker book, some other stuff, and even a commemorative silver game coin. And I've got to say, I am super flattered that they would have chosen our channel to send this merchandise to and have us check it out. But in addition to this tiny unboxing right over here, we're actually going to get into the game review. Just as you would expect from an early 90s Game Boy style game, there's really not much of a story to go along with this tiny platformer. More or less, you as the main character Tobu Girl have had their cat drift off under the balloon power up into the heavens, and now it's going to be your job to bound and bounce off of everything you can use as a platform to try and get them back. And with this micro introduction, you're pretty much dumped into the game's 4 overarching levels. Though if you are playing Tobu Girl Deluxe, there is an endless challenge mode, but I would really suggest you start playing through level 1 just to get a handle on the mechanics. The general gameplay in Tobu Girl is more or less an upward progressive platformer where you need to use every single thing you can to push yourself further forward to that end of the level goal. And as you are blazing your own trail through the skies, you'll have to develop some pretty quick reflexes to recognize certain type of platforms, how they move, and which ones can actually harm you, in order to eventually be able to snag your floating feline and win the game. But while this may seem like an incredibly simple task and a really quick game to beat, it's not exactly as straightforward as you may think. I have to admit that I actually didn't read the instructions before I dove into play, and I had no idea there was anything you could do besides just jump, and so halfway through level 2, I kinda thought the game was broken. And this is mostly because you can't actually beat any levels but level 1 with just relying on the jump mechanic. So after getting about halfway through level 2 several times and not being able to get any further, I resolved myself to just wear out the rest of the clock and mess around with the buttons and see if there was something I was missing. And it was at that point that I realized the game offers 2 other jump functions in addition to the standard bounce that you get from enemy platforms. There is a sequential dash that you can perform up to 3 times in a row with a combination of the directional pad and the A button, which will lob you all around the screen, upwards, downwards, or left and right. And as soon as you touch down on another platform, all 3 of your dashes are refilled. The other function is accomplished by pressing and or holding the B button, and it works kind of like an energy boost, or more or less flying. As you've probably noticed watching the game footage already, though it's not just about hopping from platform to platform and dodging the occasional trap, Tobu Girl and Tobu Girl Deluxe have a massive time imperative. After every few platforms, you'll have the option of grabbing a little alarm clock which refills that time gauge to the top right of the screen. And as I'm sure you might have guessed, if that little black circle trickles all the way down into nothing, it's game over. Timers in the game, though, aren't only used to establish punishing gameplay and force you against the clock to complete the level as fast as you can, they're also used to establish your end-of-level score. But while getting a better time may increase your score, it's not the way to get the best score, and that brings us to the last game mechanic, the stomp function. Much in the same way you can dash around the screen using a combination of directional keys and the A button, you can also slam down using a dash onto enemy targets, which will bounce you off. Certain enemy platforms that you find in the game don't bounce very well, and you'll have to find your own way to reach that new platform, whether that's by a dash, whether it's by using the flight function, or whether it's by slamming into them to get a better recoil. The stomp function, though, does require a little bit of skill, and there's probably a good reason it counts toward bolstering your score. If you slam into an enemy, you basically rocket them down toward the surface of the earth, destroying your own platform. So while it will increase the range of your jump just a little bit, it also commits you to that jump, so you'll have to have a really good handle on where you're going and what you're doing before you probably want to start playing around with that one. But for the thrill seekers and score chasers, it does add a huge level of difficulty to the game, so it might be something you'd actually enjoy. Moving on to the game's graphics, as we noted earlier, whether you're playing the ROM or the actual deluxe Game Boy Color version, it's exactly what we would expect of some of the more popular early 90s Game Boy Color games. The music in Tobu Girl and Tobu Girl Deluxe, though, is also worth note. It's probably one of the things that's going to make you stay in the game and stay motivated even through some more punishing platforming. It's light, upbeat, and poppy, and really does well to maintain that almost comical air of the game as you play through harder and harder levels. But moving on, if you are a fan of the Budget Gamer channel, or you're at least somewhat aware of our review style, you're probably already prepared for a few of the game's critiques. And while I'd hate to disappoint any fans, I don't really have any to offer. I'm not saying that Tobu Girl is a perfect game or it's the best game in the world or anything, but it knows what kind of game it is, and it achieves its goals pretty much flawlessly. The music and audio are exactly what you would expect, and given the new colorization, they cut no corners. Additionally, as an upward-directed platformer with random platform generation, the main focus here needs to be on game controls. They need to be tight, and they really are. I was actually throwing myself off platforms because I expected there to not be as much fluidity or intuition needed for controlling the game. The movement controls, the jumps, the dashes, everything about the game is incredibly intuitive, and it's really seamless and actually works with a lot of finesse. And it's actually a little bit mind-blowing that in this era of high processor speeds and modern gaming and millions of dollars being dumped into individual AAA games, that we could have something that's so profoundly simple that's still so much fun to play. And while I do know that the two-man development team behind Tobu Girl already did a lot of work to get this released as a physical copy for a GameBoy Color cartridge, I would hope that they would actually push it to the Switch because, let's be honest, it's like the best Nintendo console. But that about does wrap up the review of Tobu Girl and Tobu Girl Deluxe, whether as a ROM file or now available on the GameBoy Color, which is pretty awesome. So if you enjoyed the review, or especially if you found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or comment to show your support, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. As you can see, there are new and unique indie games coming out literally every single day, so there's always going to be some new game to find out about right here. But anyway, this has been The Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.